Anyway, so let's go to the news there, Blue Jays. We have a fair amount to talk about here.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just do it straight off the bat. You ready? The price, the EOS price. We might as well talk about it. It was Tuesday. It was last Tuesday, shortly after the show probably, when the EOS price just shot through the roof. It went from, $6 to $9. We don't normally talk a lot of price on here. It's not really our goal. However, it was big news, 50% jump. What happened there, Blue Jays?
Okay, so there were a couple of rumors. A lot of people thought it had to do with the eosDAC airdrop. Airdrop.
Yeah.
It's just that word is just very, very... and there was also another rumor about a group in China, I believe, buying in. I believe it was Antpool. So that could have been a big volume and jump because of that. What were your thoughts about that?
I couldn't put a finger on it. I mean, I guess the eosDAC, I didn't realize eosDAC was quite as big, but when I started looking around more, I saw it in Medium articles, people referencing it all over the place. So apparently eosDAC had a wider reach, and there was actually a lot of confusion around eosDAC itself. People couldn't understand that there was like a new token being made instead of EOS and this and that. Of course, we're so insulated in our little ecosystem here, and we understand all the block producer stuff, and we know what eosDAC is trying to do. But 90%, 95% of people just don't fully understand it. So
was eosDAC was in our last show.
Oh yeah, so eosDAC, for those who are not familiar, they're a block producer candidate. They're decentralized, and they're offering they airdrops tokens. And by the way, we should say the airdrop is over. So if you missed it, unfortunately, you missed out. I understand that if you have under 100 EOS, you can still register, and go in there and get your EOS. Or get your eosDAC rather, excuse me. But go to their website. Basically, we're eosDAC.io if you'd like to know more. But going back to the price. I mean, I feel like, so this is not financial advice and all that kind of stuff. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Really, I don't. So when you see it crawling along, I just think about last October when it was 50 cents per EOS, right? And it was just crawling along at that 50 cents for a long time. And all of a sudden, kaboom, it exploded, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I looked at $6 and it kept crawling along on $6. And I thought, you know what? I mean, I know nothing, but I think it might go up. So
yeah,
there we go. I mean, those are my in-depth technical analysis thoughts on the price.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what you're trying to say is the fan in us are thinking, wait, this is way too low. But yeah, I mean, there have to be certain catalysts, and another big catalyst was probably the release candidate one going out there as well too. And as you can see, like all of these people and projects are jumping on. And developing on EOS, like we saw one today on our show. And if you haven't caught it, you should probably go back and check it on for the Ono project. So, like you said, there's great talent out there. Couple of great people were on that team with amazing achievements, and it's just interesting to see all of these people jumping on the EOS project. Yeah,
and you said it really well. I mean, that's what I keep feeling the same way, and you look at all the brilliant people who are jumping in and all the people who are dedicated to it, the DApp developers, the block producer candidates, everyone sees this amazing opportunity for EOS. And in my mind, I look at it kind of like Warren Buffett says. He goes, I don't know where the price will be in 6 months, 12 months, but I do know in 20 years it'll be up. And crypto, you take everything and it's about divided by 10, right, in terms of the timeline. So we don't know exactly, but basically my theory and feeling is that long-term EOS will be up, right? And therefore right now it doesn't matter in my mind for the price.
And not only that, Kev, which I agree with, is that other projects are going to coexist in this space too. So there's going to be many projects, like this one's going to be the killer, Ethereum killer or whatever. I don't think that exists. Like Ivan said earlier on, it is an open market, and there's place for multiple solutions.
Sure, absolutely. And so we'll go forward. Let's talk about Thomas's. We actually did not really even talk about this on the show with him, but his Article 2 of the Constitution came out. He put it on the forums, or the EOS Go forums, and he talked about property rights. And he went into a little bit more depth about the stolen bicycle analogy that he's made a couple times on the show, and just sort of talked about what property rights might look like in the Constitution of the EOS.io software. I know that folks were pretty interested in this, and he also put up another post talking about how to propose and critique a constitutional provision. So if you would like to provide some feedback in the making of the EOSIO Constitution, you should go onto the forums there and provide some feedback, follow his guidelines, figure out a way to get your voice heard. We've already seen a couple times now where block.one went ahead and made some changes after hearing some feedback from the community. Who knows how influential those voices were in the community? However, we saw the 6-month staking for voting. That was back when the tokens had to be staked for 6 months for voting, and you were then taken away. You didn't have bandwidth allocation rights as well. You had to vote only, which therefore lowered, or people thought would lower, the voter participation. So people were all up in arms about that. They said that has to be lowered. Voter participation will be way too low. It'll be too easy for big stakeholders to influence elections of block producers. And now we see it's only a 3-day staking time, and bandwidth can be used along with voting, so you can have both at the same time.
Excellent.
Where I'm going with all that is, if you have feedback for the Constitution or for anything, you should definitely make your voice heard. Follow the guidelines. That would certainly help, and go on the forums, and you can see all that there.
Yeah, the EOS Go forums at forums.eosgo.io have both those discussion items that we just mentioned.
Yeah, and let's go to the WAX token. I've already seen a couple folks ask about this, if we talked about it in chat there. The WAX token, they just announced today, I believe it was, they put out a long Medium article describing their thought process on how to find, or where to find, a base platform for their blockchain. And they have settled on EOS. And they have they put out this little table showing their research results. They compared, looks like it's Neo, Arc, EOS, Tendermint, Lisk, and NEM, and they were looking for a DPoS chain specifically, they said, which I don't know if they fully explained why, but long story short is they had multiple criteria talking about consensus and whether there's support for custom DPoS, which they were very interested in. So the long story short is they are making their own custom version of the EOS chain to support their needs. It sounds like maybe they'll have their own block producers. It won't actually be on the EOS chain because they will make modifications to the software. But have you followed up on this? Have you looked into it? It's pretty new.
It's very new. I took a look at it, and I'd like to reserve my judgment until I get to read a little bit more about it. But it does sound, it's exactly what the EOSIO software is written for, is for these custom cases, and more power to them and good luck to them.
Yeah, and I'm about to post the link here in the chat for folks who want to read directly from WAX token. The actual WAX token, I don't know much about it, but I can say here's an interesting part from their article. It says, based on their evaluation criteria, EOS is the best fit for the implementation of the WAX token, while also being one of the most popular platforms with high number of contributors and release frequency. And EOS allows WAX DPoS implementation largely through configuration of small code modifications. So EOS provides a good framework to implement the WAX smart contracts and transactions.
Are they respecting the distribution?
They didn't mention any of that, and I'm guessing maybe not. They probably, let's see here if there's anything about that. The ERC20 WAX token, so they already have an ERC20 token in use. Let's see, we've selected a base variant. So EOS does not support all the features of the WAX token platform, including guilds and voting mechanisms for dispute resolution and others. Some of those things could be coming, as we've talked with Thomas about. So they look forward to they're actually working with the EOS core development team, it says, to accelerate the deployment of the WAX platform. So perhaps it's a collaboration. It looks like it's some parts both. They're helping block.one, it sounds like they're implying in their article, while also building their own version of the software. And I think we know, or we've heard that block.one, I know back on a while ago on their website, they talked about providing consulting services for the EOSIO software would be one of their features or focuses in the future. Of course, the websites have changed so much that I don't know if that's still true. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, why not? If they're not busy working on groundbreaking software, they should definitely consult on how to use the ones that they've already produced. So, yeah, I think it would be, if they didn't have any other projects they were working on, and definitely part of their team would definitely be a team like that. So,
and Brendan has actually talked about, Brendan Bloomer, the CEO of block.one, when he was in chat, I believe it was almost a week ago now, he was talking about how they're still almost in a kind of a startup phase, right? and they're growing, expanding very rapidly, and so therefore there are some growing pains. And they're still hiring. They're still bringing on lots of people to help with these kind of things when it comes to consulting or so on and so forth. They don't want to take away from the core team that is actually developing the software.
Yeah.
They just want to have a good consulting arm, I would assume, although we are just making assumptions at this point about what they might be doing. So let's go forward. We'll talk to, or no, we'll not talk to, we're going to talk about the Ask block.one series that Thomas Cox mentioned. So they put out their first version in terms of the actual answers. What they're doing every week is they're taking questions. You do a hashtag Ask block.one on Twitter, on your Twitter account, and then you ask your question, and then they're going to collect them and then answer them in their Medium post or on their Medium. And let's go ahead and go through what they answered here. We have the link. Hang on one second here. Let's get it pulled up. So they post it through their Medium blog, the block.one Medium blog. And so the introduction to blockchain, that video by Dan Larimer, they released that to the public, and that was a very professionally produced and shot video. So the sound is great, the audio is great, the video, the lighting is excellent, and of course Dan's presentation is really good. So he goes through multiple use cases for the blockchain and what it is actually capable of, and how EOS IO software is going to be the software that can actually do a lot of these things that we've seen promised about blockchain. One very interesting example that I've seen sort of pinging around is his example about taxes. And he does this funny thing where he says, death. Benjamin Franklin has this quote about how nothing in life is certain except death and taxes. And then Dan goes to the next slide and says, well, let me do something about taxes. Something along those lines, right? So if you haven't seen that video, you should go watch it because it's great. And then he goes through how he would take apart on a blockchain-based government currency. He proposes rather that the government should take a part of that inflation and directly just give it to themselves, right? And instead of having the IRS or whatever your tax revenue arm is in your country, or whatever country this would be, basically instead of having all these different reporting things in it, you could eliminate a lot of overhead. Long story short, eliminate a lot of overhead in terms of you could take part of the inflation directly from the block. Everybody could audit as well. So when it comes to government spending, we hear a lot of complaints from citizens usually about how the government's using the money. Well, the citizens could all go in on a blockchain-based currency and they could look and see exactly, well, this money went over here. It's more auditable, and therefore the government could be a lot more efficient, is one of the points Dan is making. And of course, as we talked about already, the overhead would be drastically reduced in terms of reducing, having to file taxes. All that stuff would be eliminated because the taxes would be taken out before you ever get paid directly from your employer, because the government's just taking a part of the inflation. So what are your thoughts on that, Blue Jays? I don't know if I did a great job explaining it. You should definitely go watch the video from Dan. He does a great job with the slide and explains all the points.
Yeah, I will definitely I heard he did a great job on that presentation. I will take a look at that presentation for sure. Yeah,
and so the other questions on the Ask block.one.
I did see one, Kevin, that was interesting. What programming languages are required to build full operation dApps on EOS.io software? So obviously the major one with the smart contracts are written in C++. And on the website, they use the eosJS library. And they're also using React.js and Node.js as well too. So those are all available on the GitHub for you to go in and take a look at from the latest release candidate one.
Yeah, and there's also another question about any suggestions for coming up to speed on the code quickly. And we won't go through all these questions because you can go on the Ask block.one, the Medium post, and look through all of them yourself. But they basically talk about how there's the wiki. It's located in the primary EOS.io repository, which if you have not read the wiki in the repository for EOS.io, you should go take a look at it. There's a lot more information in there that is not in the white paper. And of course, it's up to date, completely up to date. So make sure you check that out. And you can also look at their Stack Exchange and so on and so forth. So anyway, go take a look at the Ask block.one series. It looks to be very interesting. It's great to hear from the development team directly. And now we have multiple ways to get in touch with them, right? Because Dan loves to come on and do great Q&A sessions. Usually on Sundays is when he especially comes on, but he does it all throughout the week as well. Whenever he's probably relaxing with a do, as we like to joke about.
Right.
So he comes on a lot, and now you can also ask more formal questions of block.one through Twitter as well for folks who don't use Telegram, and that's pretty cool. So Let's go over to, looks like Meetups. Time for some talk about Meetups. So we have a new block producer portal website, and I believe it's new as of, yes, it is new as of this week. It was not live last week during the show. So the block producer portal, it allows block producers to go in there and submit their own listing. So they have their own page, and you as a voter or community member can go in and research your block producers. Makes it very easy, and you're hearing directly from them. They can list all their sources, all their websites and materials and community projects. Everything is listed right there on the page that they make. And there's also a world map that shows all the folks or all the different candidates on the map, so you can see how they're distributed. It's pretty cool. We're very proud of it. EOS Asia, actually the newly announced EOS Asia, Joe from them, he helped us build that portal. And we are very thankful to Joe. He helped us as a community benefit project and then handed over the keys so that we can sort of maintain it for independence and neutrality for the community. So thank you, Joe, very much.
Yes, thank you, Joe, very much. And Kev, just to add to that, we can add meetup listings to that as well, too. So please forward us your meetup listings or go on the site and add them. That's something that you can do there already. So we just also wanted to give a shout out to Barcelona, who's following us and also gathering more momentum out in Barcelona, Spain. So I hope you guys get your EOS meetup together, and when you do, please let us know, and we'll announce it when it's ready. And good luck for you there. As Thomas mentioned earlier, you could just go on to meetup.com, and type in that keyword EOS. So if you're ever interested in what kind of EOS is in your area, just go there. And if it's not there, just start one up as well too.
Yeah, and you with going back to the block producer portal, thank you for getting to the point, which was there's a meetup section as well. So, I got way off track, as I often do, as you know. And so the whole point I was trying to make, the meetup section is great. You can it doesn't matter if you're not a block producer, you can actually post your meetup on there and make your own page for your meetup on this portal, and it's bp.eosgo.io, and I just put it in the chat, the link there. So take a look, and if you have a meetup, please post it, and also you can keep track of the ones coming up. And of course, Thomas has already talked about all the ones he's doing. There are so many of them, and so EOS governance. There's actually the building an MMO game on EOS blockchain coming up the 19th here. That's going to be this coming Thursday. I think it's SF EOS. Let's see who's putting this on here. It's hosted by EOS Detroit. The SF EOS crew. It's a 100% player-run economy blockchain game and a DAC that will be owned and operated entirely by those who choose to adventure, explore, and pioneer in this ongoing epic. I'm just reading directly from their listing page on the website for the meetup. So if you want to learn more about that, and if you're in Detroit, there you go. Stop on by.
I believe SFEO's updates is in our chat room as well, too. So if you have any questions for them, let them know.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Thanks for
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. So any other meetups we should know about Blue Jays? I know Thomas talked about a lot. It sounds like Dallas is having one this coming week. Austin as well. You heard Thomas. Yeah. We missed here.
A lot of momentum building. A lot of getting up close to launch, Kevin. So it's good. It's a great time. I know. I think you'll be heading over to one in Charlotte soon, and I'll be doing one probably in Sarasota. So if you guys are in town, let us know, and then you can come and meet us.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've talked about this before, but hanging out with EOS fans is one of my favorite things. It's really fun. Just the enthusiasm and the questions, and everybody just feels the excitement of something that is going to be big, right? And something that'll be world-changing.
Yeah.
And we all feel the same way. And folks who are still learning, also, it's great to try and answer these questions. And furthermore, it's also great to hear from the perspective of someone who's still learning, because the learning curve is so big, and it is easy for us to forget how big that learning curve actually is. I've mentioned before how it took me 3 solid days of just wrapping my head around everything, and why is the token worthless, and all these questions. And once it finally clicks, it goes, whoa, yeah. So
yep. I still remember trying to figure out Steam it. I just I don't get it. And then it just took, a while. So
yeah, when you first start getting into cryptocurrency, of course, you inevitably run across a couple of Steam it posts. I remember my first few, right? And you're going, $400 for this page? What is going on here? So it is a little hard to wrap your mind around at first. And education will always be key. That'll be one of our primary goals going forward. And speaking of going forward, what are your thoughts of the week, Blue Jays?
I really don't have any thoughts of the week. It was a down week for me. I went out for the weekend a little bit, and I kicked back and had a little relaxation there. So I'm getting back into it. I see the boot up process that's being talked about. Stuff's getting pretty serious and down into the nitty gritty. Like that boot up process is is interesting, and it's very technical, and it shows how much thought has gone behind the proper and the healthy boot up of this network. And I think that has kind of opened my eyes to launch day even again. So that's my thought.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, in my mind too, we have to focus on the launch, right? It's starting to come up. I believe we're 7 weeks away, or less than 7 weeks away now. So there is a lot that still needs to happen in terms of trying to make sure the community knows what's going on, and just trying to educate everybody and learn about how to vote. You know, what needs to happen on launch day, what you need to do to ready, all this kind of stuff. One of our primary goals will be to help everybody learn about that stuff. So it doesn't matter whether we make the educational materials ourselves, or if someone does a great job, like EOS Canada has produced a couple of good things, we'll help spread the word about it. Of course, we're non-partial, we're neutral. We just want to make sure everybody can understand what's going on. And there's been a lot of great materials put out. The video series so far has been it's been enlightening. It's been great. So of course, follow along with those and with that. And block producers in general, I've noticed that they're starting to get more and more serious. You know, new announcements that we see, the posts are far more detailed than we've sometimes seen in the past. You know, I think everybody's kind of learning from each other and improving,
Yeah.
which is the whole idea behind competition, and of course, in a free market. So it's fun to watch this whole evolution. And of course, there's a lot more to see coming up. So we'll do our very best for everybody who's watching, and everybody else in the community. EOS Go will always try as hard as we can to make sure everybody's up to date as to what's going on. And of course, reach out if you have any questions, or if you want to see something from us, or if you have any suggestions for improvements, let us know. And furthermore, last thing I'd like to mention is we're always looking for help as well. So if you'd like to write an article, if you have insights into how the launch might look, or if you would like to help educate the community and you want to spread your work out, you've seen us do this before with like Andrew M. from EOS Atlanta. He wrote that amazing article about how to own your EOS on launch day. And of course, Katie Roman writes incredible articles. So if you would like to produce some material and then release it for EOS Go, we can help you get the word out for those who are not necessarily running for block producer, or they just want to make sure that their work gets known. So that's kind of those are my thoughts of the week, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Cool. Well, for everyone else, thanks for everything. You know, click subscribe on our YouTube channel, and also follow us on Twitter. Last things I'd like to say is also thanks to Katie Roman and Top K-Pop, who are in the chats from moderating. They do a fabulous job, and if it wasn't for them, I don't know if we'd be able to put on the show. Thanks, guys and gals.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah. And of course, as always, go EOS.
Go EOS. Good night, guys.
See ya.